Broadcasting live from the Business RadioX studios in the Twin Cities, it's time for Minneapolis-St. Paul Business Radio. Now, here's your host.
And hello again, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Minneapolis-St. Paul Business Radio. I'm John Ray, and folks, this is going to be an appetizing show. Har har. Anna Klimmek is with us, and she is with Happy Food MN. Anna, welcome.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great. It's great to have you on the show. Let's talk about one of my favorite subjects is food. Happy Food MN. How are you serving folks out there?
Food is also one of my favorite subjects, so we can relate right away on that. I am a health coach and chef here in the Twin Cities, and I do happy, healthy cooking demonstrations, usually for businesses and their wellness programs.
Oh, talk about the market for that. I mean, are businesses getting more aware that they need to be thinking about the food that goes inside their employees' bodies every day?
Yeah, so a lot of businesses actually are working with their health insurance providers to have wellness programs, and they are looking for people with all different kinds of talents within the health industry to sort of fulfill some of their requirements or just services that they provide for their company. And I often have found that I fill that role for them. So they'll have like a nutrition section they'll want to do, and then they'll reach out to me and I will go and do a cooking demonstration for them during their lunch hour.
So before we get deeper into how you do what you do and that great work, let's talk about your background and your journey. I mean, what's led you to this point? Why are you so passionate about happy food?
I love that question. So I started out as a personal chef. I'm realizing now it was about 10 years ago when I started my business. And I always knew that I wanted to be an entrepreneur, and my skill was cooking. And I had some mentorship in personal chefing. And so I just started working for families. And then I had a woman who was a concierge for a couple of large companies and businesses in Minneapolis. And she asked me to come and do a healthy cooking demonstration for them. And I had never publicly spoken in front of anyone before. I thought I was going to throw up before I went on. I had about 80 people show up.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I had not done a thing like that. And by the end, I was like, oh, this is super fun. And so I started to work with businesses. Actually, after I had done the presentation, I had a couple of people who were HR managers for their business come up to me and ask me if I would be interested in doing demonstrations for their businesses. And then it just sort of started to roll from there.
Oh, wow. You didn't realize what an awesome public speaker you were.
I did not know what I was getting into at all. But one of my, themes in my life is say yes and see what happens. So I just said yes and, worked through my absolute panic attack. And when I got up there, it turned out great and was really fun.
That took a lot of courage to do.
Yeah, it did. But I also sort of, if you look back in my life, I am not a person who's afraid to leap. And so I will leap now and again. Sometimes I fall off the cliff, but usually I land somewhere.
Yeah. Well, it sounded like you landed on your feet and then some in this particular instance. So talk about, though, what's the underlying mission here that you have for your business? I mean, you go out and you educate on healthy eating habits. I mean, what drives that mission?
So I say food is my conduit, but it's actually kind of sneaky. I basically try to dazzle you with some knife skills and some chopping. But what I'd really love for everybody to know is that I want people to understand the magic that lives within them. I want them to feel empowered, especially when it comes to food. So many people don't even know what they're doing. They have so much guilt around it. There's all these food stories that everybody comes into my workshops with, and they're like, oh, I'm eating a sandwich. Is she gonna, or I'm having a cookie. And they're all like very afraid of what they're doing. And what I want to bring to the table is you are good enough as you are right now. And this is what you choose one or two things that you can teach or learn for yourself and take one step closer towards health. I am not here to give you 10,000 rules. I'm here to help you spark that inner question in yourself. How can I live my best life? That's what I'm really here to do.
Folks, we're chatting with Anna Klimmek, and Anna is a personal chef. She's a health coach. She's the founder of Happy Food MN. So speaking of health, you actually are rebranding your business from healthy cooking to happy cooking. Why is that?
Yeah, because everybody comes to health in a different way. They have different thoughts about it, hang-ups around it. And I realize I say healthy, and some people just roll their eyes and grumble. Or they come in thinking, oh, well, healthy has to be vegan, or healthy has to be paleo or keto. And my mission is get people in the kitchen and having fun, and to cook with whole foods. We do not subscribe to any particular eating style here, though I will say low inflammatory is my area of expertise. So I always offer that to people because so many people, inflammatory diseases is one of the number one issues in America. It's like heart disease, diabetes, things like that. And if you have a low inflammatory diet, they can help with those things. So I teach people many, many options, and low inflammatory diet is basically just cooking with real food. It's whole food. We just name it something different.
So that's not that complicated per se. I mean, when you say an anti-inflammatory diet, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this is complicated. That doesn't sound complicated to me.
Yeah, I know. That's what I love about it. That's why I tell you I'm sneaky. I come in and I show you 10 things you can make within a half hour's time. And all of my demonstrations are about an hour long. So I do a little bit of a lecture, and then I'll cook 2 or 3 recipes right on the spot. And people will realize, oh my gosh, I could do all of this right now in a 30-minute time span. So I love to teach people whole foods, but also tricks that you can use from the grocery store, frozen aisle. They pick those vegetables at the peak of freshness. So sometimes, if skills or time is an issue for you, or your budget, also very important, those are all options. And so I love to give everybody the empowerment to realize that they can make a choice that works for themselves, whether it's, chopping for hours because you love that, or buying pre-chopped things, or buying something from the freezer aisle.
I would imagine part of it is just knowing who you are in terms of, because all of us are different in terms of what our tolerance for, whether it's pain or pleasure, right? In terms of what goes on in the kitchen, just knowing that, and we kind of know what avenue we need to take in some of the things you recommend.
I think you really nailed it on that. Everybody knows who they are, right? And we're not going to change each other in a conversation. I can come in, but a lot of times a light bulb goes off for people that say, oh, this is easy, or I could do that. But one of the things that I really try to teach everybody is, I don't know you. I don't know your life. I don't know what you are working with. But this is a conversation where you can dip into yourself and figure out oh, that actually maybe resonates with me. Maybe I should explore that a little bit further. So I really want to teach people how to listen to sort of those body cues or those inspirational cues, those quiet voices within you that say, oh, maybe that's something I want in my life.
So, Anna, I'm putting you on the spot. I mean, I know that we're an audio, so you can't show us, but give us a few tips that we can take to lean into happy cooking.
Oh, that's a really good question. So I actually offer a lot of different types of cooking classes. So we go from anywhere from putting a healthy meal on the table to balancing blood sugar, gut health, and food for focus. So even just learning about some of those things can help you understand what it is what your goals are for you. So I think always coming back to first and foremost, like everybody wants the answer right away. And I always go back to why? What is your why? Why do you want that? Why is this motivating for you? Because if I tell you to go and chop up some peppers today, and that is, you're just not interested in that, I'm not giving you the right recipe for what you want. But I will say, like, just as like cooking tips, using some of the grocery stores cheats that are in front of you that are available to you. The delis, they have pre-cut items. Sometimes that chopping is the piece that people love. And sometimes that's the part where people are like, that's hours. I don't have time for that.
Right.
So using some of those, just kind of pre-done for you. There's nothing wrong with that. Some people just make it so hard for themselves, and it doesn't need to be that hard. And then always looking at your ingredients list, because you can have two things sitting on the shelf that look the exact same that have, comparatively very different ingredients. Some are much better for you. You're always looking for a shorter ingredients list with words you recognize. And I think I even fall into that trap occasionally, not looking at the back and being like, oh, turns out there's a bunch of junk in here that I don't want.
Now, Anna, it's interesting as we've been speaking here. One of the words I have not heard you say, and I've been listening, is wait. You've not said wait. You've talked about healthy living, happy food. Explain why you haven't used that word.
Yeah, I never talk about weight. I actually subscribe to the thought you can have health at any weight. And I don't think that the weight loss conversation, especially within businesses, and there are some businesses where I work where they talk about weight, and I tell them that that's not what I do. And then there's other ones that are kind of catching up and realizing that weight is not actually helpful in creating the healthiest, most productive workforce. So if you think about like why people are hiring me, they're hiring me kind of to get the most out of their employees. That's the truth, right? They want their healthiest employees so that they don't miss work, they don't get sick. Well, they realize that when an employee is focusing on weight loss, they're actually like, there's a dip in their productivity, because a lot of times when that's the whole thing, your actually brain isn't functioning as highly. You're hungry, you're tired, you're considering food all the time. I mean, if I'm focusing on weight loss, all I'm focusing on is what I'm not eating today. And I don't think that that is really a great way to live. So the way that I look at health in general is considering what is the best thing for me right now. And we know that vegetables are good for you. And we know that, good healthy protein is good for you. And truthfully, some people don't know that. So we're going to come in right at that level. But when you hit the weight loss, everybody comes in with so much of their own baggage that we can't really have a healthy, constructive conversation about what true health means. And really, you can be a healthy, productive person at any size.
I love it. Anna Klimmek is with us, folks, and she is with Happy Food MN. It's her own business. She's the owner of the business. Speaking of your business, I'm just curious how you have changed since you started your business. So talk about your life and what's happened over the arc of your business development.
I love this question. So this all goes back to even what I teach. So when I first started Happy Food, I started out as a personal chef. I really was like, okay, I want to do my own thing. And all of the skills that I have had to learn to become an entrepreneur and to kind of keep up with the changes of my business, as well as just as it evolves. We've been through a pandemic now. I had to learn how to do everything virtually. I had to learn how to do things from my home. And I love to see, I am a person who is deeply ADHD, and I need new challenges often. And this business works for me in that I can kind of be whoever I want. I can grow in whatever way that interests me. I have a friend who said, "Oh, you're like a Swiss Army knife. You just have all kinds of skills." And I was like, "Oh, I think that's the best compliment. That's what I want to be."
Yeah, that's a great compliment. Yeah. So I'm just curious, given that change that you've seen in yourself, how does that translate into advice that you would give to those that, whether they're cooking entrepreneurs or in any other kind of business, services business, what advice would you give?
I think it's always follow the whispers and your intuition. If you have that little call to you, to telling you that you want to do something, lean into that. And you don't need to know all the steps of what's going to happen, because there's no way I ever would have known that somebody was going to ask me to, present at a bunch of businesses, and then more businesses would come and ask me for that. I didn't even know that was a thing. I had to have the industry tell me that was the thing. But I wouldn't have known had I not put myself out there, just trusting and trying different things and being really vulnerable and saying, "Hey, this is what I do." And then just kind of following the path as it lays before you. Because I do think, none of us know what's going to happen. And just following some of those breadcrumbs and not being too afraid to try it.
There's an analogy here in terms of cooking, right? I mean, you learn to cook by trial and error, and that's really what you're talking about in your business.
Yeah. Oh, I never even put that together, but you're right. And I will say, people often want me to bake for them. And I say, "Oh, I am not a baker," because the way you bake is much more like you have to follow an exact process.
Right.
And, savory chefs like myself, we kind of are on the fly people. We see what ingredients are around us. We see what flavors in the moment will be complementary to each other. And I love that analogy, because that really is how I built my business.
That's terrific. Now, speaking of being a savory chef, I'm just curious, are you able to cook the same dish exactly the same way twice in a row, or are you always tinkering?
That is a really good question. I'm always tinkering. Always. You won't even get it. Some people have asked me, "What is your signature dish?" And I don't have one. My signature move is taking the things that you love and making them a little bit healthier. So turning them into like that low inflammatory that I said, if you have something that you love to eat, and feel like you won't ever get it again because, you're trying this new style or trying to eat for your best health. And you're like, "I can't have my grandma's pot pie anymore." My signature move is to be like, let's figure out what you love about that, and let's figure out how you can still have it.
Now you're talking, because I love pot pie. So yeah. I love it. That's awesome. So let's talk about how you engage with businesses. I mean, businesses should get in touch with you when? What's the trigger?
I mean, I think they should get in touch with me if they know that they have a budget for wellness programs. When they are looking to hire someone to speak about nutrition. I am not a nutritionist. I am much more functional than that. So as a health coach, I create programs that work for real people and create strategies to help people actually win in the kitchen. So if you've got a group who is interested or needs to like even check the box, I am definitely your gal. I do live in person for anybody in the Twin Cities area. And then we also do virtual. And I've been doing virtual over the pandemic for the last 3 years. And that's been a beautiful thing because a lot of teams are virtual now. And even as we come back into the office, they still have some virtual teams. So I actually bring my Zoom machine in with me with the little, and we can do the Zoom as well. So even if you've got people who are offsite who want to participate in the program, we can Zoom as well as cook live.
That's awesome. And which means you can work with clients all over the country, not just here in the Twin Cities area.
Yeah, I've actually worked with clients all over the world. I did some cooking classes just for fun during the pandemic as well. And we had people from Australia, Canada, Mexico, all come and participate. So that's kind of the beauty of this virtual thing that I, resisted momentarily, and then realized we're really getting to bring lots of people together. And we still have a lot of fun, even if it's virtual. We figured out how to still bond over the airways.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, Anna, as we kind of wind down to a close here, I'm curious what those folks that have worked with you in the past, what do they say about you when they speak glowingly of Anna and the work that you do? I want you to brag on yourself a little bit.
I am more than happy to do that. I love to brag on myself.
Good. That's what we're here for. My clients, I've never had an unhappy client. We have, especially the live events, we just have a lot of fun. I see them kind of like the Food Network, but live. And then I'm also like a little bit of the Swedish Chef. Like I cook very imperfectly. There's food flying all over the place. And I think they like that because people can see themselves in me. They can see, oh, she's been cooking for 20 years and she totally messed that up. And I know that that's okay. And I get hired back because when we are done with the event, everybody is leaving smiling, laughing, empowered, lots of questions, whether it's about themselves or about what we've been working on. And I'm always happy to ask any questions. I'm very open and love to have like those continuing conversations with people. That's awesome. Anna Klimmek has been with us, folks, and she's the founder, chef, health coach at Happy Food MN. Anna, this has been awesome. And I can't imagine there aren't some folks that want to be in touch. So let's get to the most important question, which is how folks can connect with you.
Email is great, Anna@HappyFoodMN. And then also if you want to follow and kind of see a little bit more what I'm about, I'm all over the place on Instagram. And that's Happy Food MN, as well as LinkedIn. Same thing. We're Anna Klimmek on LinkedIn and Happy Food MN. So we are well branded across all social media platforms.
I love it. Anna Klimmek, folks, Happy Food MN. Anna, this has been fun. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Hey, folks, just a quick reminder, at Business RadioX, we are here to celebrate business and the great business leaders out there like Anna who do great work, and their work deserves to be celebrated and to be found. So if you could help us by sharing the show, that would help them. And that's what we're here for. So if you could do that for us, we would greatly appreciate it. So for my guest, Anna Klimmek, I'm John Ray. Join us next time here on Minneapolis-St. Paul Business Radio.